Is with Simon and myself, of course. All eyes on Doha in Qatar. Maybe not for Pep Guardiola, because it's been reported that Pep may be heading to Qatar, but before that he's in Abu Dhabi, and of course that's where the owners of Manchester City live. No doubt he's in dialogue, having a chat with Sheikh Mansour while he is there. No doubt having a chat about his own future, with his current contract, Danny, set to expire at the end of the season. Whatever happens, Danny, is Guardiola an impossible act to follow?
Yes. I mean, you can, with the wealth City got and the quality they've got, you could still, quite a good manager will, of course, have them competing, but he is a very unique manager. In his intensity, his attention to detail, the way he works is quite unusual. He's very demanding. You can see he's just one of those guys that comes along every now and again who you can't help but kind of be in awe of. And look, every team that he's managed, he implements a different way for them, a different intensity. I don't know if you've seen the documentaries on the Barca lads speak about him and what he did for them and how he improved them and how he demanded more from them, even the likes of Messi when he speaks about what he did. And the lads in Munich.
Not Ibrahimovic.
No, well, you're always going to upset the odd one, aren't you, along the way?
Yeah.
But they will be big shoes to fill, and you can't really try and replicate what he does. You just got to be your own man when you go in there. But it's interesting, isn't it? He's one of them few managers that's sitting there with his contract running out, probably not had a sleep, not one wink of lack of sleep because of it.
You're getting paid £15 million a year. You don't have to have.
No, but what I meant was, even if he doesn't stay or he doesn't agree a new deal, he's going to have a load of options out.
I think
there.
the answer is yes and no, in the same way that Liverpool would have worried about Bill Shankly's departure and Bob Paisley's takeover. It's a yes and no scenario. The difficulty for Man City, is that he's created a style of play that you're going to find it very difficult to emulate. If he goes out of Man City, just say he left at the end of the season, which I don't think he will, and doesn't win the Champions League, and the first guy comes through the door and wins the Champions League, then you'll have a different discussion about what Pep Guardiola's legacy will be.
Yeah.
If he cleans up house and wins the Premier League again, wins the Champions League, and leaves everybody with nothing to win after him, with a style of football that's been so easy on the eye and so revolutionary in certain ways, it's going to be difficult to eclipse the memory of Pep Guardiola. It's going to be almost a poison chalice for anybody taking over. Not quite the same as taking over from Arsene Wenger at Arsenal or taking over from Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, but something akin to that. But everything evolves, everything changes. This is not a short-term gain for these guys. They're going to keep on pouring money into Manchester City. They're going to keep on giving people an opportunity to be the very best, and the next generation of coach will evolve.
But that's a great point you made, though, Simon. Who would have thought the mess that United would get themselves into post Sir Alex? So this is such an important moment. If Guardiola was to move on, where do you go as a club like City after somebody as influential as Guardiola? We saw what happened at United.
This is the reasons why you have people best in class. This is the argument about Man United. There's no dispute as to why Man United are in the condition that they're in. It's because they've not put best in class upstairs and or around the dugout. They haven't put the best in class in the interface between the commercial guys and the football operation. They've allowed it to drift. And it's been drifting for some time. It was even drifting under Alex Ferguson. This arrogant attitude that Peter Ken used to have about how wonderful a deal maker he was, while Vodafone walked in the room and handed him a cheque. That's not deal making. That's accepting cheques from people that want to endorse you because your product is so high in quality. The bottom line is City, whether I like it or don't, and I do believe they've obviated systems, and I do believe that they've managed to manipulate circumstances, and I do believe that the Etihad sponsorship deal still could be open to question about how much money they get for sponsoring the stadium. But put all that to one side, their recruitment policies from the boardroom to the boot room have been outstanding because they've gone for the best in class, whatever that best in class looks like. And it might have looked like Roberto Mancini at one point, it might have looked like Manuel Pellegrini at another point.
Yeah.
And they've gone through the gears really quickly, but they've had the ability to do it financially.
But 30 years on, Simon, of the Premier League, has Guardiola been the most influential manager that we've seen? Surely you'd have to think yes.
I think him and Klopp, there's an argument
in terms of consecutive. I mean, Sir Alex won a bunch of them, of course.
I think him and Klopp have both been influential in different ways, but you can certainly see.
Why Klopp, Danny?
Because of what he's done at Liverpool and what he's achieved with them.
But how does Klopp compare to Pep?
Yeah, that's a silly comparison. Why is that comparison prevalent? Why would you put Klopp as one of the most influential noises in the Premier League?
because
One
of what
Premier
he's
League
done.
title.
He's won one Premier League title.
Yeah, but you're talking about moving something forward from one position to another, so the improvement was so good, and the style that Liverpool played became the Klopp way and the Klopp style, and he got something out of that team that I don't think anybody thought he would. It wasn't like he was walking into a squad that was always, as Man City were already winning things, remember, when Pep walked in the door.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare the improvement.
Is winning and dominating. And Ferguson...
But it's also being successful within your means,
There are
isn't
two
it?
bookends. Ferguson's one bookend and Guardiola's the other. And Klopp might form a chapter. Right? But the influential chapters are the first chapter and the end chapter. And that's Alex Ferguson and that's Pep Guardiola in this 30-year cycle that we're talking about now.
I think it depends who you're looking at, whose perception you're talking about. Because if you did a survey amongst all fans, I suppose, maybe you might be right. But I think if you're looking at somebody in 10 years looking back to this decade of, or this, 7 years, maybe 6-7 years of Premier League now, I think when people talk about Pep and Man City's team, they'll also talk about Klopp and Liverpool's
They might talk about
team.
rivalries in the same way that you talk about George Foreman and Muhammad Ali or Joy Fraser and Muhammad Ali in the boxing world. But if you're talking about the existence of the Premier League, the 30 years, the original poster boys were Manchester United. Everything about the Premier League that sold it around the world was Manchester United. Hence the reason why they maintain so much value when they win bugger all. But the actual involvement of the Premier League in the last 3/4 of a decade has been Manchester City, the style of play and the introduction of a super uber consistent elite coach. Mourinho was the blueprint for coming in as someone that wins things. But Guardiola's taken it to a different level.
Yeah, he's a special one.
Yeah, if you want to use that moniker.
One.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
probably is, yeah.
It'd have to be.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.